If you rely on any form of technology,
this issue affects you.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 events we will probably see in The Crown Season 6.
It's only taken 100 years to get this far. Who knows when we'll get another crack?
For this list, we'll be looking at the most interesting historic events we think should definitely be included in the show's final season. Reportedly, the upcoming episodes will cover the late 90s to the early 2000s, so we won't be considering any moments past 2003. Which royal event are you most excited to see in the Netflix show's last season? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10. Premiership of Tony Blair. The Season 5 finale depicts the landslide election of Labour Party member Tony Blair, played by Bertie Carvel.
Well, a new dawn has broken, has it not? We have been elected as New Labour, and we will govern as New Labour.
His 10-year-long premiership lasted until 2007, a few years past the period of the time Season 6 is reported to depict. While the show has already tackled the decommissioning of Her Majesty's yacht Britannia, we look forward to seeing some of Blair's other historic moments.
We must be excited by the future. And what an example you've set with your party.
A couple of things we think could be included are the signing of the Good Friday Agreement, which are a pair of agreements that put an end to enduring political unrest in Northern Ireland, as well as his calling Diana the People's Princess.
I came up with it, but I didn't come up with the phrase, as it were, in that sense. It was what I felt. I felt she was something very special.
He's listed in the main cast of Season 6, so we imagine he'll play an important role. Number 9. Fuel protests in the UK.
I don't think it's quite fair. That's why I feel so angry, because they're punishing my family.
The Blair government increased the rate of the fuel price escalator initially introduced by Conservatives in 1993 in order to combat usage. The price hike would eventually surpass inflation to a point that caused protests, the first significant of which happened in 2000.
In one of the biggest protests, a convoy of more than 100 lorries and tractors crawled up and down a section of the A1M near Gateshead on Tyneside, disrupting traffic for 3 hours. The leaders say there'll be more protests, and they're talking about a winter of unrest.
Pickets and blockades led to shortages around the country, which forced the government to request emergency powers from Her Royal Majesty. The Prime Minister was away from London when the disturbances began, complicating the matter even more. The tumult eventually settled, aside from a couple of flares of panic buying that occurred in 2005 and 2007. This was a major enough event that we expect to see it featured in The Crown, even if it's only briefly mentioned.
It's very complicated last time, and there were issues around the industry itself.
Number 8. The Millennium Bug. The year 2000 problem, or Y2K Millennium Bug, was a fear that trended globally as the world approached the new millennium.
The Millennium Bug, has it struck or hasn't it? 25, 35 minutes from now, we'll know what's happening in this country, what's happened over all the rest of the world. Those bugs are going to crawl all over our computers and make the planes fall out of the sky.
Tony Blair warned that it would be, quote, one of the most serious problems to face both the British and global economy. His government prepared for the anticipated disaster in a few ways.
All the people say that preparation had to be done, and that's why there will be no problems after midnight. Of course, we won't know whether the Millennium Bug is actually there until the millennium.
Action 2000 was developed to spread awareness and offer direction. British armed forces were prepared to assist with policing, transportation, and other emergency services. Although the European Commission warned that Western countries hadn't done enough, the fallout was nowhere near as dramatic as people predicted it would be. It'll be interesting to see how this period of time is depicted from Queen Elizabeth and Tony Blair's respective points of view.
I rather like it.
Number 7. Olympics in Australia.
I respect and admire the Queen enormously. The desire is simply to have a head of state that embodies and represents Australia's values and traditions.
The 90s saw a growing desire in Australia to become a republic with a president who would be appointed by Parliament. Talk of transitioning the government brought the Queen's role opening the 2000 Olympics into question as early as 1993. A referendum in '99 resulted in the Australian population voting to keep the monarch as head of state, after citizens couldn't agree on a method with which to elect their new president.
We're Australian, and we can make decisions on our own. We don't need to hold the hand of the Queen anymore. No, I'm both issues if, we wouldn't be able to make the decision in the long run.
Although Queen Elizabeth maintained her position of power, she was not invited to the Olympics opening ceremony. We wonder whether the show will tackle this affair, and if so, how they'll go about it.
Sydney, over 1 million people turned out.
To see their beautiful new queen.
Now she's old and dumpy. They want to get rid of her.
Number 6, September 11th. The 2001 tragedy is sure to be mentioned in the upcoming season. Although the infamous attacks didn't happen in the United Kingdom, they certainly had international effects.
One that had to change global policy, so really everything, in a sense, that followed from that event.
Queen Elizabeth II showed her support to the United States a couple of days after the devastation during the changing of the guard ceremony. Breaking tradition, she ordered the band to play the Star-Spangled Banner. Besides the monarch's displays of sympathy, Prime Minister Tony Blair was also heavily involved in the aftermath. He supported George W. Bush's War on Terror and deployed British armed forces to assist during the invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq in 2001 and 2003. It's important to note that his involvement contributed to his decline in popularity among the British people.
And for many, it simply isn't and can't be worth it. For me, I think we must see it through.
Number 5, Prince Harry's one day of rehab. Season 6 will see Diana's sons, William and Harry, continue to grow up.
Special treat, you get to choose between a bedtime story or
Super Mario!
Don't tell your father.
One incident we suspect they'll include is the younger prince's trip to the Featherstone Lodge Rehabilitation Center when he was around the age of 16 or 17. Supposedly, Prince Charles sent his son to the clinic after he discovered Harry's illegal habits of underage drinking and smoking marijuana. Sources suggest that the prince experimented with substances as a way to cope with the loss of his mother.
And it was a case of you need to go back to the past, go back to the point of trauma, deal with it, process it, and then move forward.
Although the current Duke of Sussex's partying was especially scandalous in his 20s, those events happened later than what is expected to be included in the show.
I really feel it wasn't very royal behaviour, but you can completely understand why Harry did it.
Number 4, deaths of the Queen Mother and Princess Margaret. The Queen lost 2 of her closest family members in the same year, not even 2 months apart. In early March of 2002, Elizabeth's sister, Princess Margaret, died after months of suffering from health complications.
In a way it was sad, but I was so glad that Princess Margaret, who'd suffered so much at the end, and for somebody like that who'd been so vivacious and beautiful and enjoying life, to see her in a wheelchair, unable to see, it broke my heart.
Always one to challenge tradition, she was purportedly the first royal to be cremated within the century. Although the late monarch had a reputation for maintaining a stiff upper lip, Queen Elizabeth was spotted using a handkerchief during her sister's funeral service.
You wanted to let me imagine for 1 minute what life would be like without you. You succeeded. It would be unbearable.
6 weeks later, the Queen Mother died at 101 years old. The biographical series will likely depict how Elizabeth and the rest of her family might have grieved these deaths in private.
I hope that sadness will blend with a wider sense of thanksgiving, not just for her life, but for the times in which she lived.
Number 3, Queen Elizabeth II's Golden Jubilee. The year 2002 saw Her Royal Majesty's 50th year as monarch.
As far as we are concerned, it bears no relation to a rest at half-time.
In celebration of the anniversary, the Queen and Prince Philip toured internationally for over a year, traveling more than 40,000 miles. They visited citizens of the Commonwealth in the Caribbean, Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and Canada.
I am very glad that the 50th anniversary of my accession is giving so many people all over this country and in the Commonwealth an excuse to celebrate and enjoy themselves.
Various events were held to celebrate the occasion, including concerts in front of Buckingham Palace. Considering the significance of the tour, it's safe to assume it'll be featured in a future episode of The Crown. Having seen Elizabeth's coronation in Season 1, the anniversary is sure to be an interesting full-circle moment.
And I'm sure at the end of tonight's celebration you'd like to join us in wishing Her Majesty, the Queen, many congratulations on her Golden Jubilee, and our thanks.
Number 2. Prince William meets Kate Middleton.
Well done. Welcome. Welcome.
While Season 5 shows William's enrollment into Eton College, Season 6 is sure to see the prince off to university. From 2001 to 2005, the British heir attended St Andrews in Scotland, where he majored in geography. There, he met a fellow student and his future wife, Kate Middleton.
He'd noticed this gorgeous girl come in for breakfast, and eventually he plucked up the courage to invite Kate to join him and the Sally's boys.
I actually went bright red when I met you and sort of scuttled off, feeling very shy about meeting you.
In 2002, they moved in together as friends with a couple of other students. Soon after, their romantic relationship began, and they got their own place. The prince has said Kate caught his attention early on as a model during a college fashion show. It's possible we could see this and other early moments from the royals' relationship depicted.
And it was like something had just gone off in his brain, and he suddenly noticed that this rather cute, friendly, charming girl who he'd gotten to know over lectures and at breakfast was actually a real hottie.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Diana and Dodi Fayed's deaths, handled responsibly. The end of Season 5 brings the show's biographical narrative close to the moment of Diana and Fayed's deaths. Episode 10 sets up their vacation in Saint-Tropez, which is when their brief romantic relationship is rumored to have begun.
For you, there will be sunshine and shopping and the big new yacht.
The accident that took their lives happened in Paris soon after. Considering its sensitive nature, it's important that the show handles the tragedy responsibly. A Netflix representative has stated that the series will not recreate the exact moment of the collision, although it will cover the events leading up to and following it.
Well, let's cancel everything else. This is going to be massive.
It's likely we'll see her funeral, which was televised to an estimated 2.5 billion people. The show may also depict the reasoning behind the Queen's minimal response, which garnered criticism.
This isn't a matter of state.
What are you talking about?
Diana's no longer a member of the royal family. She's not an HRH. This is a private matter.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.